And thank you for watching the Honest Trailer Commentary for Tenet. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Honest Trailer Commentaries for Tenet. Tenet. We're not live today. It's pretty much the day before Christmas break, I guess, for us. So this is our gift to you because we could have just skipped this because the Honest Trailer isn't even done yet at this point in time, but we're going to talk about it anyways. You're going to see the very first rough cut of an Honest Trailer, and we're going to talk about it. Yay! So this could be somewhat different from the one you end up seeing. We'll see how much more work we put into it over Christmas break.
We are also going to start at the end, and then we'll start at the beginning, and then everybody will meet in the middle in a pincer move. I'm assuming.
Exactly.
We're gonna find out that we're friends at the end of this.
Oh yeah,
good.
just like Tenet.
Yeah, it's gonna be a nice ending.
That's Joe. That's Lon, or vice versa. We won't be able to respond to questions and comments from viewers like you because it hasn't happened yet, unless you've inverted yourself. But we will, and we also don't have outtakes because they'll be in the trailer themselves. So whatever.
Also, I guarantee we have more questions than you guys do. I could just fill this whole show with just questions.
We've got questions. Overall reactions to Tenet. I think that look, Lon, did you see it in theaters?
No, I saw it for the first time just the other day.
I mean, I feel like the disclaimer needs to be that we all watched Tenet. You know, I watched it twice, but I don't think anybody here has watched it more than once. Otherwise, like we didn't.
I watched it twice. I watched it twice. Yeah.
But
No, and normally I would watch when I get an Honest Trailers assignment. You know, I roll up my sleeves ready to hate something and just watch it on my laptop. But I gave this the Nolan in my living room treatment and did watch it on my TV
in a three-piece suit. In a suit, I'm assuming.
In a suit,
Full
yeah.
suit.
No. Yeah, I smoked a pipe, and I did my tea up real nice, and I don't think I've ever watched a movie for Honest Trailers just like on my television.
Yeah, I watched it in a toga on my thinking lounge, as all Nolan films should be consumed. Sipping mulled wine. That said, look, this is probably close to my least favorite Chris Nolan movie at this point in time, but it also increased my respect for Christopher Nolan in a way because he is clearly not he's clearly making the types of films he wants, and he is doubling down on, I think, everything that you either love or hate about him, as we say in the trailer. And like, this is the film that he's interested in making, and these are the kind of things he's interested in exploring on film. He is not listening to his critics. He's not going to make a rom-com or that would be the extreme of it, but he's not going to moderate himself. He's going to make Christopher Nolan movies, and this is a Christopher Nolan movie to the extreme. Not my cup of tea, but I do think that weirdly I came out of it and be like, all right, so that's the kind of filmmaker you are, and that's the kind of filmmaker you want to be. More power to you. I hope other people are more into it and continue to ride this crazy ride with them. What did you guys think?
I think that at every stage conceptually, it must have really seemed like action sequences that are both forward and backward would look really cool. And like in Doctor Strange, that stuff looks pretty cool. And it just doesn't look cool. I think everything else that I was sort of not crazy about with the movie, I would be willing to forgive if like the core thing, which is these big action sequences that they're conducting like half in forward time and half in reverse time, just like felt more visceral and cool. And like they're trying really hard, and it's very conceptually interesting, but there's nothing in this movie that hits as hard as like a Vin Diesel flying headbutt in a Fast and Furious movie. Like I kept waiting for it to get thrilling or exciting, and it's just not. It's too hard to like parse what's going on for it to feel exciting. So it's
it's one thing to ask you to puzzle your way through plot details. Like I'm used to that. I can stomach that, and I don't mind like reading up about it afterwards and going back through and saying, oh, but when you're puzzling your way through the action, it's just not what action's for. Action is something visceral. Like there's something in your body that can feel, you know, cause and effect. Like this pool ball hits the other pool ball and it makes it fly that way. And when it's backwards, you're just, and forwards at the same time, you're just kind of having to think your way through what's happening in the action scenes.
Action especially, like, can't be a puzzle box because action has to be, an action sequence has to be clear with a beginning, middle, end, not a beginning, a middle, another middle, a middle, a middle, an end, and then a beginning. Because yeah, like you're sort of saying, then we can't like track it, and then we can go, wow, this is interesting. But I can also do that with like a Windows Media Player music visualizer, which is less expensive than I think this. It's Christopher Nolan's not a bad filmmaker. It's weird because I was really kind of bored this whole movie. Like it never like grabbed me. It never picked up. There was no change in pace to me between talking about Brooks Brothers suits to stealing a plane and driving it into a building. Like nothing ever picked up. It was all just kind of which was weird. But then on the other hand, like I keep thinking about this stupid movie. Not in like a whoa way, but I do keep thinking about, like I keep going back and thinking about the action sequences. It missed an emotional hook for me. Memento was also a kind of a gimmicky, big idea movie, but emotionally I bought into the panic that this man must be feeling, that he loses his memory all the time, and it had the mystery to dig into. And Dark Knight, had the Heath Ledger's performance as this visceral thing you could hook into. And
Inception, it hung on him trying to get back to see his children. Same with Interstellar in a way. Right. It's like they had some emotional core that you could hang your hat on, but this guy, he's just so removed from everything going on.
It's also like all of those films in the past that Nolan does, they're all like plays on very conventional genres. So he's making this very like heady, weird, kind of convoluted, tough to follow at times take on something we're familiar with. Like Inception's just a heist movie. It's just a heist movie like in a dream. And like Memento's just a detective noir kind of thing, but like with a dude who can't remember anything and he's got to like write everything down. Like they're all kind of like that. But then you get to this one and it's like, it's kind of a spy thriller, but to work as a spy movie, you've got to be able to follow all the moves. And like by halfway through, it just becomes too hard to follow all the moves. And I feel like you got to pick one or the other. Like, I mean,
it's like Bond, but it's like an early Bond when like they thought that you were really there for the plot. Like a Thunderball era Bond where like...
And that's kind of my point. Like if this was trying to be Bond, it's not fun. Like if it's going to be like heady and serious and grim, then like it needs to be sort of like about something. It just felt like it kind of couldn't pick its lane. Like there is like a Bond movie in here that would be fun, but like Branagh's not playing it like a Bond villain. He's playing it very dour and serious. And like you go to exotic locations, but then you sit in one area the whole time. Like you don't go see the cool parts of the exotic locations. Like
I think there's really something to that, Lon, what you're saying, because it's like it needs one or the other. If it's gonna be kind of, I'm not trying to call it like a basic movie, but like, cause it's very heady, but I don't think it's as clever as it thinks it is. And so if it's going to be sort of just like a run of the mill, because the moment you see him fight himself at the beginning, or you see the lady jump off the boat, I've seen a time travel movie before and I went, oh, that's her,
right.
It's not that complex. But if it's not going to be so complex, I've never seen anything like it, then it needs to have the charm and swagger.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. Like if the action really worked, I would have been sold. Or if it was just like a really fun, exotic, fast-paced adventure that was kind of fun, I would have been sold. But it's like none of those things. It's like this really grim, dour movie that's all about these ideas. And then I kind of also couldn't follow the ideas.
Well, I guess we're just too stupid to appreciate Chris Nolan. And with let's play. And again, I will repeat, this is version 1. I don't think that there's any music. I think that there might be all the alternate jokes will still be in the trailer. So let's see this beta version of by these 3 beta males of what the Tenet honest trailer looks like.
Come watch us work something out at the open mic that we wrote on a napkin.
Yeah. Totally uncensored too, so there will be nudity.
Full frontal.
Sorry, guys.
It's in Lon's contract that it is.
Yeah, at least the rough cut.
From Warner Bros. And their former bro.
Yeah, it's sort of not how you treat filmmakers and stars.
Comes a film about technology.
So pause. I mean, that's interesting to speculate. Like, who's going to make Chris Nolan's next movie? Because it doesn't sound like it's going to be Warner Brothers.
I desperately want it to be A24 with an A24 size budget.
Yeah, sure. I mean, he's done it before with like Memento and Following, and A24 could probably cover
Insomnia.
Yeah,
because I actually really, not to be like I like Nolan back in the day, but I don't think Insomnia gets enough love. It's a pretty good. I mean,
I like Insomnia a lot. Yeah,
it doesn't have Nolan concepts per se, but it's a good movie. So I'd love to see him do something like that again.
Yeah, I mean, it is really cool that he gets to be like one of the 3 auteurs we're allowed to have at any one time in cinema. But like, and I don't want him to become a hired gun, but it would be cool to see him direct somebody else's story. I think he could.
I did, when they were talking about him maybe doing a Bond, I guess this was what he ended up doing sort of instead of that. But like, I mean, it would be interesting, but it would also depend on, is he willing to like loosen up a little bit and have a little more fun? Or would you get a very like stern Bond film where Bond goes on some sort of a time jumping adventure?
Well, as we learn at the end of this trailer, you know, he loves Tokyo Drift so much. Like, what if Nolan tapped into his inner Tokyo Drift?
Yes, please.
And Shaw and Michael Caine.
Going back in time, baby. It's all there.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan just being like, cut. Now, Lil Bow Wow, on this next take to the camera, I really want you to sell me the idea that these babes are going to get into your Hulk car with you.
Oh man, yeah, I want to see him directing. Was it Lucas Black? Is that his name?
It is Lucas Black. That's correct. Yeah. International.
He's the perfect actor. He doesn't emote at all. He's my muse. Just cover his face.
When you're facing a really difficult moment, I want you to think to yourself, how would Sean Boswell handle this? The protagonist from Tokyo Drift.
I've just felt it so interesting to you know, leave you know, my fine dining experience, go to a Waffle House with him. You know, he's less of a protagonist and more of a protagonist, and it's just so interesting. Roll up my sleeves and revisit my polo days with the boys at the club.
Okay, keep going.
Filmmakers and stars.
Comes a film about technology that reverses the flow of time that Nolan wishes was real, so he could have released the movie 4 months earlier. Tenet. Experience what happens when a filmmaker goes so far up his own butt that everything gets inverted.
It's inverted.
2 antagonists, 1 inverted.
A machine, inverted.
She shot with an inverted round.
You are inverted. The world is not.
Blue team, inverted.
Thought you were inverted.
Can you stabilize the inverse radiation by inverting the patient?
That would take twice the number of Memento plot dongs to properly explain.
That's basically the end of the movie.
But basically, some people and objects are moving backwards in time. The people moving forwards in time can interact with them. And everyone's fighting to control a big math staff that blasts the past. Did you still get lost? Don't worry, so did the cast.
Sometimes the logic needed to catch up to what I believe he would feel in the moment, even if I can't all the way explain what it was.
You know, it's not even a question of getting...
It's got to be really hard for the actors in this movie to play like the emotions of a scene from moment to moment when it's so hard to follow who they are at that point in time.
Yes and no, but they're also like, they have the guy like right there behind the camera who could just tell them. Like I would almost like to have had that, where if you could just like pause the movie for a second and be like, Chris, what would Kenneth Branagh's experience of this scene be? And he'd be like, all right, Lon. Because like that's what they have access to. Like they could just ask him. So like they're kind of be like, well, even if I didn't totally understand, he could just be there like, well, you just got to this cave, but you haven't been here the whole time. You know, like
that would be the ultimate charity raffle. You win. The ultimate prize for this charity raffle is Chris Nolan comes to your home and watches a movie.
Socially distanced, and you can pause Tenet at any point and ask him what's happening.
This would be a great like Alexa feature. Like he should just record this, like the whole movie, just answering questions the whole time. So you'd be like, hey, Alexa, like, what the heck just happened? She'd be like, well, all right, here's what's happened. I don't know why he's Irish when I do it.
Oh, hey, I'm Christopher.
Yeah.
I also want to give Spencer props for creating the 80s toy commercial pitch for Tenet the toy, because I can definitely see a kid with a cool skateboard and like a bowl cut being like, it's a math staff that blasts the pass.
The math staff. Yeah, so the algorithm, I mean, in the grand pantheon of doomsday devices, this one's a stretch, man. It's a math equation, but each piece of the equation, instead of writing it down on a piece of paper and tearing that into little pieces, it's like a wizard staff.
Clunky, like in the future, they don't have flash drives anymore, so we've had to put together this thing.
I mean, my question, not to fall down the rabbit hole of nitpicky questions, but if it's the scientist found out the equation for reversing the entire flow of time and didn't want anybody to find it, she did kill herself. Why did she go through the trouble of encoding it into these things and spreading it all around into Horcruxes all over the world? Why didn't she just kill herself?
You mean never leave it for anybody to find?
Never leave it for anyone.
Right.
Because scientists are egotistical maniacs, Spencer.
Okay.
She had to do it. She just had to.
Like the Riddler.
Yeah. Exactly.
His superpower is leading Batman to his crimes.
She really wanted someone to find all the pieces of the algorithm and put it together so that she could give them the jade key to open the Oasis.
God. Are you saying that Tenet is about Gunters?
I'm saying basically Tenet is Ready Player One, but for math nerds, not for regular nerds. Ready Player One's for regular nerds. This is physics nerds.
Ready Player 3 is going to be nothing but Nolan references, and it's going to I'm going to.
No, you sent me that thing where Ready Player 3 is going to be about early 2000s internet culture.
Early 2000s meme internet. So it's just Icon has cheeseburger references.
Yeah. I knew it was a neon cat, so I was able to pass the rainbow bridge. Double rainbow, in fact.
Get ready. It's coming for all of you.
Shrek is love. Keep going.
It's not even a question of getting everything or even anything.
I think even when me and John David were just shooting the last scene, I think I was still asking him fundamental questions about saying, I think my last question was saying, am I alive or dead?
Critics have taken Nolan to task for his overbaked plots, underdeveloped characters, and all-white heroes. Well, he's addressed one of those things. Denzel Washington stars as the protagonist, a mysterious, secret, protagonist who, look, he's a protagonist, okay? That's all you're gonna get. He's joined by Neil, a fellow time cop who's the...
I mean, he's the hero, and he starts off as a CIA, operator who will do whatever it takes to get the job done, and he ends the film as a CIA operator who will do whatever it takes to get the job done.
Yeah, I think Nolan really wrote himself into a corner with this one, because he obviously had the bit, spoiler alert everybody, he obviously had the bit that in mind for a while that in the end we're going to find out that John David Washington actually runs the whole organization, and this is just his first experience of it, but in more time he's going to rise to the top. And I feel like that ended up forcing him into a lot of corners where he just couldn't establish the character better, because then he'd be creating weird paradoxy things.
You're saying he inverted his own writing process?
Kinda, because it does feel like he purposefully didn't want us to get to know this guy, which does kind of hurt your involvement in the story. And here's one question, just as an example. We don't have to answer it today. Why would he need to test his own mettle, as we see at the beginning of the movie, where he's we got to make sure you would be willing to take that pill and kill yourself instead of give up your... But it's you. You don't need to test yourself. You're already you. Am I the right guy for this job? Well, you have the job, so... You must have been the right guy for it. And it's more every time you add something to his character, you add another one of those, It
hurts my brain, but I can only think that noted Tokyo Drift and Fast and Furious fan, Chris Nolan, is also a connoisseur of the XXX franchise that does the exact same thing before you join the XXX program.
Right, you do. Yes, you also. I mean, that's kind of an old. I feel like a lot of the stuff in the first hour, he's purposefully playing on like 60s and 70s British spy movies. And it's like really kind of like dry, and a lot of like people having like high level meetings where they talk about like who, you know, a lot of names you don't know, and you're trying to like catch up, like that, you know, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy kind of vibe. And like I thought that was kind of cool, but it does not stay like that for very long.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess my assumption was like that part wasn't him yet. Maybe like the CIA was aware of this problem, tested his metal to investigate it, and then that's when his like timeline starts. I guess. I mean, even Neil was there. It's so confusing because there was even time crime going on from
yeah.
He's there. Yeah, in the
yeah. It's pretty confusing.
I think also, what I'm annoyed by, and we talked about this also, is like the suicide pill that they do in scene 1 does not go off in Act 3 when they have another fake suicide pill. Right.
Which is like basic Chekhov's gun stuff, Chris.
Yeah, you'd think that. Anyways, it's honestly too complicated. If you haven't seen the movie, you should watch the movie. But it's too complicated to even explain to you right now what we're annoyed by if you haven't. It would take too long.
Yeah.
So and let's just keep watching.
And well, this is kind of what I was talking about, like at the beginning, where I'm frustrated that like I can keep having these like nonstop loopy conversations about a movie that like I was not at all invested in. Like that's so irritating to me.
That's what I mean. Like it's just the conversations. Like there isn't anything else. It's not an adventure. It's not funny. There's no real like. There's nothing to grab you, and like it's not really about much of anything. It's just this platform for like. But when did he
it's just untangling the mechanics of it. Yeah, it is like untying a really complicated knot.
Like at least
if that gets you off.
Yeah,
great.
I'm like at least the what's going on of Donnie Darko like made me like cry when I heard the Mad World song when I was 22. So I could at least have an emotional attachment to round and round talking about it. But this I was just like,
well, yeah, there's an emotional core to Donnie Darko about, you know, the self-sacrifice of a annoying teenager. And then with his other movies, that he gave you more of something that like, even if you didn't understand what was going on, you emotionally understood what the character was going through. And I don't think that's there in this one, or like the bigger cause that the movie was about. And this one, there's like a real offhand mention of global warming, I think is why the past is trying to attack us. But that's it. Or the future.
It's very complicated. It's like the future, they want to reverse time because they messed up the planet so badly. Well, we all did, but like the planet's so messed up that they want to reverse time. But you can't just reverse time because we're already here in the past, and the clash, we win because we're moving forward. So they have to obliterate time, and then they can reverse time and like fill in the gap, which is now a void, with new time.
And I guess if that is what he was interested in, and that's like the moral quandary he was wrestling with in this movie, it's such a grim conclusion, is that like, well, the present is going to absolutely fight for its right to continue to destroy and consume the planet, and we're going to win, and everything's going to die.
Right, because remember, everything that happens. Like you can't. It's not about changing anything. Like that's.
It's just preserving our own asses.
Right. It's just like, well, but that won't happen till later. Like, well, great. All right, genius. Save the future. Great job.
Okay, let's keep going.
A fellow time cop who's the bill to protagonist Ted.
Let me get after some stuff. You're gonna love it.
Dudes, you guys are gonna go back in time. Yeah! You are going to have the most excellent adventure.
Hey, you never did tell me who recruited you, Neil. You did.
Who are you guys? We're you, dude! No way.
Max, who continues the grand Nolan tradition of largely mute children you only see the hair of. Kat, a woman so tall she could drive a car from the back seat. Michael Caine as himself? Sure, why not?
Goodbye, Sir Michael.
And Sator, a vodka-swilling arms dealer who's an Adidas tracksuit away from checking off every evil Russian stereotype.
You lecture me about radiation. Andrei Sator, digging plutonium from the rubble of my city as a teenager.
Well, that's not the most over-the-top accent I've ever seen, so I guess he earned his paycheck.
Pay that man his money.
Push through this.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just funny. Like, that guy was, like you said, like he was almost a Bond villain, and I guess he had the Fitbit that ends the world, which is kind of a Bond villain touch.
I feel like that's a touch that would have made me appreciate this movie a lot more. If, like, instead of just a yacht and him being like a Russian stereotype, it was like an aqua lair and he was like a Bond villain type character, I'd be like, okay, now I get it. We're doing a Nolan take on like a 70s spy movie.
Yeah,
but
you know,
like,
you do open up the door of being able to send, and presumably they've been sending him objects from the future that, like, he'd have some sort of futuristic tech or something at his disposal, or something cool that we haven't seen before.
Yeah,
but
I was honestly expecting, like, all roads lead to Chernobyl. Like, that's just with his weird backstory and with all the radiation talk and what kind and how much. I honestly thought the big time crank and the mass staff and, you know, all that was they were gonna throw down in Chernobyl. It's what I was kind of expecting.
I mean, they basically did. It was just like a Chernobyl you never heard about. Like I thought that was a cool concept, and I'm sure it's real.
It was a great value.
Like, the Soviet secret cities.
I think that is true. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is based on a real thing.
Yeah,
which is neat.
That is neat.
I mean, the thing is, like, as much as we are dumping on it right now, like, there's always interesting ideas in Christopher Nolan movies. I mean, I think that's kind of a given. And this one is not different from that. Like, it's a cool twist on this sort of a premise that I've never seen before. And so, like, yeah, credit where it's due. He's coming up with cool, interesting ideas. I just feel like, I don't know, like, the cities folding over themselves thing in Inception looks really cool. And the guys running backwards shooting at each other, it doesn't look as cool.
Yeah.
Like, I think on some level it really comes down to that.
Yeah.
It just feels like he's written like a 600-page hard sci-fi novel, and we're just dropped into page 245 to 265, and like without a life raft. And it's just like, if you care and you're really into it, you can do the work and go piece together everything. But just as a first and even second time movie going experience, it's just like it's just a mess.
You know, my initial take, and like I pitched it as a joke, and it was only funny to me because I'm currently watching The Crown, so very funny and timely to me. But it did feel like, it just felt like Prince Philip dryly describing this movie to Olivia Colman. Like, that's what watching it felt like. And then a man goes through a device, and then he's moving backwards, and then Olivia Colman goes, "Oh my!" It was like listening to someone describe their dream. I don't know. It was rough.
Yeah. Okay, keep going.
Pay that man his money.
Push through this extremely dense and intricate way of telling an unsatisfying hollow spy story that feels like the movie adaptation of a crossword puzzle, because it kinda is. And when you strip away the mind-bending sci-fi concept and parse through the hard-to-hear dialogue,
What do you know about opera?
Terminal. From their private planes.
and manage to stay awake through all of the meetings, it's just a backdrop for rich people doing time crimes to each other, like a Rube Goldberg machine that ends with you getting kicked in the balls.
Does your head hurt yet? Yes.
Thrill as Nolan rediscovers the backwards action thingy from that Spike Jonze video and the backwards talking thing from that Missy Elliott song.
This won't
As
be
he
in
and the
it, so we
cast pull off
don't
the
get
incredible
claimed.
feat of filming huge sequences in reverse that, in theory, sound like they'd reinvent the genre, but just looks like they chose the rehearsal takes of them practicing the choreography. In what's less of a mind and more of just a frustrating chore to make sense of, like someone inverted your controls on GTA.
Yeah, this is me watching Tenet. I think I get it. Nope.
It's again.
Yeah, well, pause. I think we've touched on it, but it is just the just to reiterate, it's like the feeling of watching the action sequences is. I mean, maybe your mileage may vary, because I saw a lot of people say like the action in this movie blew my mind, and maybe if you're watching this in a theater or in a drive-in or whatever, but it always looked like just an effect. It looked like a special effect. I know that sounds stupid, but it's like action needs to trick you into like feeling real and feeling like you're in it. And this to me was even though it's all in camera and super impressive and technically difficult to pull off, it was as disengaging to me as like the big CGI armies at the end of a Marvel movie, because my brain's just like, that's not real.
And you're right. It is like a lot of people, and you know, in my old age as I mellow, you know, like what you like. It's cool. Like I totally had a "Hey, do you like Pogs" moment with a buddy of mine after I saw it. Named for which, when I was in middle school, a guy ran up to me and with all the enthusiasm in the world was like, "Hey man, do you like Pogs?" and had what was clearly a big bag of Pogs, and I was like, "No," and he was like, "Me neither." Cool. I was like, "Oh, I just saw Tenet," and my buddy was just like, "Holy shit, you know, whoa, and this and that," and I was like, I hated it. You know, I felt so bad. But yeah, you're right. It's like technically challenging, I'm sure, but like so is an OK Go video.
Oh damn!
Wow,
that was brutal. Ouch.
There's like this disconnect. Like when you're thinking so much about trying to figure out what's happening, you're not in the moment, just enjoying it for the action, for the spectacle. And I think that was where it sort of broke down. Like I couldn't get out of the like mode of wait, but okay, so those guys are going like, where are they going? Where are they going? Like all these pincer moves, and after a while, it's just like, but I'm not following your briefing.
I mean, they give you the instructions in the movie, which is like, don't try to puzzle it out, like just feel it.
Yeah, but then Aaron Taylor-Johnson gives you what seems like a very important briefing about where everybody's going, and I'm trying to follow the briefing, but then we get out onto the field.
And there was that line. They're saying lines like, Lon, what was it? The most Nolan line ever
I'll
written?
See if I can find it. I think I have it in my notes still.
I only didn't put it in the script because it was like you could barely understand it even in the movie because it was delivered like through a crackling walkie-talkie.
The material is not in the case. Get the other sections of the algorithm to the hypocenter.
It sounds like it's on like interdimensional cable. Like
sure, okay, yeah. We need another Jan Michael Vincent in the quadrant.
All right, keep going.
So suit up once again, just not in that off-the-rack poor person kind of way.
Brooks Brothers won't cut it.
For what may not be Nolan at his best, but it definitely is Nolan at his most, that exaggerates everything you either love or hate about his films. And if you're a Nolan worshiper who wants to rewatch something 3 times before it makes sense, more power to you. I just hope you know you also have to pretend to love Tokyo Drift too.
What do you like about Fast and Furious?
I'm sort of original recipe. I mean, the Fast and Furious, Rob Cohen original. But I've got a very soft spot for Tokyo Drift, actually.
Starring.
Hell yeah. Pause.
Good.
I mean, of course he would, because that's the one that's most focused on street racing.
Yeah.
He doesn't like that other nonsense. He likes it focused on just the drifting.
Yeah, just none of the heists, none of the international espionage, just the drift.
And then, so didn't you make the point? We might have to add this in a pickup or something, where it's like, of course he loves that one. It messed up the chronology.
Yeah, right. He likes the one. He likes the one that it was like, oh no, you thought that this was just the third one and sequentially, but no, this is happening in the future. Why do they have iPods then? Don't worry about that. Listen, just don't think about it. Feel it.
They're inverted.
They're inverted iPods.
Yeah, they have inverted iPods from the past.
It's hard, but you've really got to watch it. It's sort of a trick of the eye. But Bow Wow is actually getting out of that elevator.
Yeah,
it's weird
with those babes. All right, so that might be in the honest trailer by the time people see it. All right, keep going.
Starring Marty McSpy. Let's just put the protagonist here for now, then come up with something better later. Good Time. Pats to the Future. Tinker Time Lord Soldier Spy. Time Bandits.
In Soviet Russia, time reverses you.
Murders on the Disorient Express. What if Vladimir Putin looked like Harvey Weinstein? Femme Fatale. My wife.
Eliza Picky Wow Wow Beth.
Burly Ives. Moody Dench. And how Nolan writes a character.
No small talk. Nothing that might reveal who we are or what we do.
Mission Invertible. Backwards to the Future. A Man, a Plan, a Canal, Panama. Whoa.
Just got
a
that.
Man, a
You
Plan,
did?
a Canal, Panama.
Pause. Yeah, I love that. That's a pretty crazy palindrome, huh?
I saw that in the script, and I've been like, I'm not going to say anything about not getting this joke because I should. I'm sure it's a reference I should know. I do
Read
not
it backwards,
know what it
man.
is. I don't want to feel stupid. But now that I see, it's like, oh, it's a palindrome. I understand.
Yeah. A man, a plan, a canal.
I only have one word for you guys. Panama.
Man, a plan, a canal, Panama.
Oh yeah, we definitely didn't really get into the hand like how anyone.
I just kept thinking because it's David Brent does this.
Yeah, it's not the most uncommon hand gesture. And especially it's kind of like a professorly thing. So you got to figure some like scholar has been like the tenets of National Socialism. But say what you will. But
so here's your backwards pill.
At least they have ethos. Yeah. Oh, whoa. Yeah, they got to add the like steeple. Here's the people. All right, keep going.
The inverted people.
A man, a plan, a canal, Panama. Whoa. You know, if I were inverted, I'd just poop in front of my enemies so they'd have to watch as it materializes on the floor, then shoots up into my butt cheeks. That'd be awesome.
I mean, think about it. You'd walk in, you see a poop forming on the floor, and just some guy rolls in.
I do like the idea that much like the inverted bullet, like you only catch it if you hold your hand over it, like you dropped it.
Yeah.
Like otherwise, it doesn't know that you dropped it. That you would have to like kind of squat over the poop so it knows that it came out of your butt.
You just have to do it on instinct. You'd be like, I'm feeling particularly empty and relieved right now. I better drop my pants.
Yeah, that's only there if you just pooped. So.
And I'm also proud of us because I think Danielle timed it. I think it was because this was a nice instance where we watched it and then we all did like a writer's room together. And I think Danielle timed it, and it was, 4 minutes before we talked about what poop would be like?
Did not get very far in.
No, I mean, that was during my watch I was thinking about.
What if you pooped while you were in the machine that inverts you guys? What happens then?
Yeah. I don't think the turnstile things make any sense either, but I don't know.
They should have been
about that later,
just to be more British.
Yeah.
No, but it's radiation.
Thank you guys. If we haven't turned off every Nolan fan at this point, or if you are a Nolan fan screaming at us while you're screaming, like and subscribe. Hit the bell and you can get videos. And we are genuinely sorry that this couldn't be live because we're all on vacation, or we would be handling your comments and questions right now. And I'm sure that there are some very intelligent points and rebuttals being made to what we've said, but can't see them. Too bad. Have to go back in time and figure that out. We also have some new videos. I imagine they're good on this channel right now. I don't have what they are in the script, but I'm sure they're lovely. So click on those. So there's no outtakes. There's no questions. I hope you're happy that we've done this at all, but we will be back live, in January, I imagine. We do have another special Honest Trailer to end the year. Our hint would be, what would our hint be? It's very current. It's different from everything we've tried before, and it's something very current. But it's something that I'm excited to try, and I hope y'all like that because, hey, who knows? Maybe we'll do it again.
Yeah. Hopefully not. Hopefully we don't have to, but.
Yeah, right. Maybe we could do it every week. Who knows? With that said, thank you, Lon. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, everybody watching and everybody involved. It's been a year, hasn't it?
Pooh boy.
But no one I'd rather do it with again. And let's do just that when we're back in a couple weeks right here on Honest Trailers Commentaries.
Quick invert.